Joshua. Chapter 9. All the kings west of the Jordan heard what had happened. These included the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites who lived in the hill country, the lowlands, and along the coast as far as Lebanon. So they gathered to fight together as a united army against Joshua and the Israelites. But when the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they decided on a cunning plan. They sent messengers to Joshua, their donkeys wearing worn-out saddles and carrying old wineskins that were torn and patched. They put on worn sandals that had been mended and wore old clothes. All their bread was dry and moldy. They went to Joshua at the camp in Gilgal and told him and the men of Israel, "We have come from a land far away, so please make a treaty with us." But the Israelites said to the Hivites, "Maybe you live close by. If you do, we cannot make a treaty with you." "We are your servants," they replied. "But who are you? Where do you come from?" Joshua asked. "Your servants have come from a land far away," they replied. "For we have heard of the reputation of the Lord your God, and reports of all that he did in Egypt, and what he did to the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan, to Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, who ruled in Ashtaroth. So our leaders and everyone who lives in our land told us, 'Take what you need with you for the journey. Go and meet with them and tell them, we are your servants. Please make a treaty with us. Look at this bread. It was warm when we took it from our houses on the day we set out to come here. But now it's dry and moldy, as you can see. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but look at them now, they're split and damaged. These clothes of ours and our sandals are all worn out because the journey took so long." The Israelites tried some of the food. However, they did not consult the Lord. Then Joshua made a treaty with them, promising to spare their lives, and the leaders of the assembly swore an oath to guarantee it. 3 days after they had made the treaty, the Israelites learned that the Gibeonites lived nearby, right among them. The Israelites left to go to the Gibeonite towns, and arrived there on the 3rd day. The towns were Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack them because of the treaty sworn by the leaders of the assembly in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. At this all the Israelites protested against the leaders. But the leaders replied to the people, "We swore to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, so we cannot lay a hand on them now. So this is what we're going to do to them. We'll let them live, so that we won't be punished for breaking the oath that we swore to them." The leaders concluded, "Let them live." So the Gibeonites became woodcutters and water carriers in service to the entire assembly, as the Israelite leaders had ordered. Then Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and asked them, "Why did you trick us? You told us, 'We live a long way from you,' but you live right next door to us. Consequently, you are under a curse. From now on you shall forever be servants, woodcutters, and water carriers for the house of my God." They answered Joshua, "We your servants were told very clearly that the Lord your God had ordered Moses to give you all this land, and that all its inhabitants were to be wiped out before you. So we really feared for our lives because of you. That's why we did what we did. Now we're in your hands. Do to us what you think is right and just." Joshua did as he had said. He saved them from the Israelites, so that they did not kill them. That day Joshua made them woodcutters and water carriers in service to the entire assembly and for the altar of the Lord wherever the Lord should choose. That is what they do right up to this very day. Joshua. Chapter 10. Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, learned that Joshua had captured Ai and destroyed the town completely, as he had also done to Jericho, and had killed its king, just as he had the king of Jericho. He also heard that the Gibeonites had made peace with the Israelites and were allied with them. The people of Jerusalem were very frightened by this because Gibeon was a large town, as large as any town ruled by the king, and larger than Ai, and its men were tough fighters. So Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent a message to Hoam, king of Hebron, Piram, king of Jarmuth, Japhia, king of Lachish, and Debir, king of Eglon, saying, "Come and help me attack Gibeon, because they have made peace with Joshua and the Israelites." So these 5 Amorite kings, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, and their armies gathered and set off. They surrounded Gibeon and then began their attack. The Gibeonites sent a message to Joshua at the camp in Gilgal, saying, "Please don't abandon us, your servants. Come quickly and save us. We need your help, for all the Amorite kings of the hill country have joined in attacking us." So Joshua, all his fighting men and best fighters, set off from Gilgal. The Lord had said to Joshua, "Don't be afraid of them, for you will defeat them. Not a single one will be able to stand against you." By marching all night from Gilgal, Joshua arrived without warning. The Lord threw the Amorite armies into a panic when they saw the Israelites. He struck them down with a great blow at Gibeon. He chased them all the way up to Beth-horon, cutting them down on the way to Azekah and Makkedah. As they ran away from the Israelites down the slope from Beth-horon, the Lord hurled large hailstones down on them from the skies all the way to Azekah. More were killed by the hailstones than we killed by the swords of the Israelites. On the day that the Lord handed the Amorites over to the Israelites, Joshua spoke by the Lord in the presence of the Israelites, saying, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon. Moon, stand still over the valley of Ajalon." The sun stopped moving, and the moon stood still, until the nation of Israel had inflicted defeat on their enemies. This is recorded in the book of Jasher. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and did not go down for around a full day. There wasn't a day like this ever before or since when the Lord listened to a human voice in such a way. It was because the Lord was fighting for Israel. Then Joshua and all the army returned to the camp at Gilgal. The 5 kings had run away and hid in a cave at Makkedah. When Joshua was told that the 5 kings were hiding in a cave at Makkedah, he gave this order: "Roll some large stones to block the entrance to the cave and have some men guard it. But don't you stay there. Chase the enemy down and attack them from the rear. Don't let them escape to their towns, for the Lord has given them to you to defeat." So Joshua and the Israelites totally defeated them, striking them down and killing them. Only a few of them survived to escape back to their towns. The army returned to Joshua at the camp at Makkedah, and no one dared even to threaten the Israelites. Then Joshua said, "Open the cave entrance and bring out the 5 kings to me from the cave." So they did, bringing out the 5 kings from the cave, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they had brought the kings to Joshua, he summoned all the fighting men and said to the commanders who had gone with him, "Come here and put your feet on the necks of these kings." So they came over and put their feet on their necks. Joshua said to them, "Don't ever be afraid or discouraged. Be strong and be brave. For the Lord is going to do the same thing to all your enemies that you're going to fight." Then Joshua killed the kings and hung their bodies on 5 trees and left them hanging there until the evening. As the sun went down, Joshua gave the order to take their bodies down from the trees and throw them into the cave where they had been hiding. Then the Israelites piled up stones over the entrance to the cave, and they are there to this very day. That day Joshua captured Makkedah, killing all its inhabitants, including the king. He set it apart and completely destroyed it and everyone in it, leaving no survivors. He killed the king of Makkedah just as he had killed the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and the Israelite army left Makkedah and went to attack Libnah. And the Lord gave the town and its king to the Israelites. Joshua had everyone in it killed, leaving no survivors. He killed its king just as he had killed the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and the Israelite army moved on from Libnah to Lachish, surrounding the town and attacking it. The Lord gave the town to the Israelites, who captured it on the 2nd day. Joshua had everyone in it killed, just as he had done in Libnah. Then Horam, king of Gezer, came with his army to help Lachish, but Joshua and his men killed them, leaving no survivors. Joshua and the Israelite army moved on from Lachish to Eglon, surrounding the town and attacking it. They captured it the same day. Joshua had everyone in it killed that very day. He set it apart and completely destroyed it, just as he had done in Lachish. Joshua and the Israelite army left Eglon and went to attack Hebron. They captured the town, as well as the towns nearby. Joshua had all the inhabitants killed, leaving no survivors. Just as he had done in Eglon, he set it apart and completely destroyed it and everyone in it. Then Joshua and the Israelite army turned and went to attack Debir. He captured it and its king and all the towns nearby. Joshua had all the inhabitants killed, leaving no survivors. Just as he had done in Hebron, he set it apart and completely destroyed it and everyone in it. He killed the king of Debir just as he had killed the king of Libnah. So Joshua conquered the whole land, the hill country, the Negev, the foothills, and the slopes, and all their kings. He didn't leave a single survivor. He killed everyone as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Joshua destroyed them from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza and the whole of the land from Goshen to Gibeon. All the kings and their lands were conquered by Joshua in one campaign because the Lord, the God of Israel, was fighting for the Israelites. Joshua and the Israelite army then returned to the camp at Gilgal. Joshua. Chapter 11. When Jabin, king of Hazor, heard about what happened, he sent a message to Jobab, king of Madon, to the kings of Shimron and Akshaph, and to the kings of the northern hill country, the Jordan Valley south of Kinnereth, the western foothills, and the foothills of Dor to the west. To the kings of the Canaanites, both east and west, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites in the hill country, and the Hivites living near Mount Hermon in the land of Mizpah. All their armies assembled together, a vast horde as numberless as the sand of the seashore, together with many, many horses and chariots. All these kings joined forces and set up camp beside the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Don't be afraid because of them, for by this time tomorrow I myself will hand them all over to Israel, dead. Cripple their horses and burn their chariots." Joshua and the Israelite army went and attacked them without warning at the waters of Merom. The Lord handed them over to the Israelites, who cut them down and chased them as far as Greater Sidon and Mishrefoth-Maim, and east to the valley of Mizpah, killing them until none were left. Afterwards Joshua did what the Lord had ordered. He crippled the horses and burned the chariots. Then Joshua turned on Hazor. He captured it and killed its king, for Hazor was at that time the chief of all these kingdoms. Joshua had all the inhabitants killed, leaving no survivors. He set it apart and completely destroyed it. No one was left alive. Then he burned down Hazor. Joshua captured all these towns and killed their kings. He set them apart and completely destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord had ordered. However, Israel did not burn any of the towns built on mounds, except Hazor, which Joshua did burn. The Israelites did take for themselves all the plunder and livestock from these towns. But they killed all the inhabitants, destroying them all so none were left alive. As the Lord had instructed Moses, so Moses had instructed Joshua. Joshua did what he had been told. He did everything that the Lord had instructed Moses. So Joshua conquered the whole land, the hill country, the Negev, all the land of Goshen, the western foothills, the Jordan Valley, the mountains of Israel, and the eastern foothills. This covered land from Mount Halak leading to Seir in the south, right up to Baal-Gad in the north, below Mount Hermon in the valley of Lebanon. Joshua captured and killed all their kings. Joshua fought a long war with all these kings. Not a single town made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All the rest were conquered in battle. For the Lord made them stubborn, wanting to fight the Israelites so that they might be set apart and completely destroyed, wiped out without mercy, as the Lord had instructed Moses. During this time Joshua also annihilated the descendants of Anak living in the hill country of Hebron, Debir, and Anab, and all the hill country of Judah and Israel. Joshua set apart and completely destroyed their towns. And there were no descendants of Anak left in the land of Israel, only some in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. So Joshua took the entire land in accordance with what the Lord had instructed Moses, giving it to Israel to own as it was divided up among the tribes. Then the land was at peace.